Okay, let us start with some beautiful sounds to clear our energy and the space that we are in here. Love, light, and blessings to all of you. I am super excited to be here with you again to share some information from mainly Divine Mother, Mother Earth, divine feminine energies that I work with. This is an incredible time in history of our beautiful planet. And she is changing every day so much. For those who have an open third eye, I'm sure that what you see seems like science fiction. It doesn't look like the world we used to know. And for those who don't have an open third eye, I'm sure that you have incredible dreams. And feel free to share in the chat as well. I always love to know how everybody is perceiving these huge energetic changes. So I always do a little introduction. I'm sure that we all have met before on these calls. So just a little bit what I find important. So I always use my voice. I don't use video. And that's because my guides tell me that the voice has a frequency because of our consciousness. And so sound creates change. So instead of focusing on someone's face, even though I show my face here, just so that you know, it's the sound for me that I use to create change in our quantum field that we are in. And that is my purpose here on planet Earth. My teacher, my inner teacher, I'm sure that many of you know the yogi Yogananda. I always mention that he's my inner teacher. Yogananda passed in, I think, 1952. And he came to me. I didn't know him at all. I didn't know, never heard of him, never heard of his books. And he came to me when I was visiting Encinitas, close to San Diego, and he appeared to me in a physical form. He stood in front of me, and I instantaneously recognized him as someone I deeply honor and love. And that was a unique experience that took me on a very long path of initiations and changes that led me to this moment where I communicate with the divine feminine, divine mother in all her forms. It was an interesting journey, and I asked Yogananda today if he would like to mention any of the journey that I have been with him upon. Yogananda is a world teacher. He's a planetary teacher, and he came on a specific mission, and his specific mission was to ignite as many people as possible on this planet with what we know as the Kundalini force. Kundalini is just one name this force has. Kundalini is life force inside of us. It is our original state of being that we lost. So Yogananda, when he was alive in his past life, he was giving initiations to people, but also teaching them how to ignite this force themselves. It has nothing to do with Kundalini yoga, because his yoga was a spiritual type of yoga. Sometimes it is also called a Kuan Yin yoga. So it's the divine feminine yoga. And that's the yoga where you don't actually do any movements except for stretching your spine. And then you run the energy of our true essence through your nervous system. So that's the training I received from Yogananda, and that's the training that so many, I think millions of people on this planet received from him. And as you can tell, he also comes in a, even though he died or passed in 1952, he still comes to us as a teacher who really deeply cares about our restoration to our original essence which is what we're going through right now. And so I really appreciate you sharing your comments here. And I love hearing also if you are not experiencing anything, because then these calls might be very useful, because so much is going on right now. I've never experienced a year like this ever before. So the journey with Yogananda was really interesting, because first he would ask me to work on cleaning up my mess. And that's exactly how he called it. He said that we are here either because we avatars like he was, and they come to help us, guide us, remind us, or we are here because we left some mess behind. You can call it karma, you can call it, we left some imprint in the quantum field, some distortion in the quantum field and in the grid of the earth that we come back to fix. And this is what we're doing right now. And I will speak about that, how to do it and what it looks like. So that was the first step with Yogananda, to completely purify on the very human level. And he used spiritual tools with me, like imagining fire that burns all your distortions. And he told me that we all have this cloak of negative energy that we create with our thoughts, words, emotions, you know the story, actions, let alone actions and words. And so first we need to get rid of that cloak of darkness. So that was my first step with Yogananda. And I think it's, again, useful for all of us to see how the progression goes to the awakening of our full light body. So it starts with cleaning up the mess, being very deliberate with thoughts, feelings, words, actions, all of that, to step completely into the stillness of Christ consciousness and love, and be then open to work with higher frequencies of the angelic realms. So that was the second step, was working with the angelic realm. Now, the angelic realm, you can imagine, if you don't see it, or if you do see it, then we have so many, like zillions and zillions of beings in all of creation, and they are all on different frequencies. They have different essence, they have different colors, they have different shapes, they have different missions. And so working with the angelic realm, those are beings that are dedicated to assisting others who can reach them. And so when you work with the angelic realm, it is what we would call light work and energy work. So you receive light and energy from these beings. And you too could be actually an angelic being. You could be here on planet Earth, and yet you also work, let's say in your dream state, you could be working as an angel and assisting others with aligning light and becoming more complete light. So that was the second step with Yogananda. The third step with Yogananda was finding my oversoul. And the oversoul is a being that exists on a different plane, and it is creating realities. So you are one of the realities of your oversoul, but you are just one of the realities, and you can take the energy of your oversoul. It's almost like getting, let's say, you want to build your dream, so you need money. So your oversoul gives you the resources, it gives you the energy to build your dreams, but you are part of the dream of the oversoul. And so that's where the soul family exists, because your oversoul is dreaming many different dreams, and that's your soul family. And then finally, you leave the oversoul when you're moving upwards, or even if you want to say more deep into yourself, because nothing is really outside of yourself. So when you're moving deeper and deeper into your true essence, then you find spirit. And spirit is more like ocean of energy that is available to all the oversouls. And so that was my next step with Yogananda, finding spirit that has not become oversouls, but is feeding all of them like an ocean. And then finally meeting source, meeting divine mother, meeting the divine feminine specifically. That is my frequency that I work with. And I'm just sharing all of that because that is a path you can take too. You can just call first upon your guides to assist you, because everybody has guides that are given to us depending on our own frequency. So let's say you are calling upon Yogananda, and from my experience, it is not how that works. It is more that the guides come to us when we call our guides, and maybe your guide is the Buddha, maybe your guide is, Shakti. And so whatever frequency you carry within you, those will be the guides that you will receive. And the more you work with them, the higher the guides will become. So let's say, like the way that I explain it is that when you are in elementary school, so your guides will be the perfect guides for a kid in elementary school. When you get your PhD, your guides will be the perfect guides for the level of your consciousness. And so our guides, definitely, the more we work with them, the more we can progress to get, in a way, higher and more advanced teachings and bigger consciousness. So that's the journey with Yogananda. I really think that working with your inner guides is the fastest path to your own wholeness and just restoration to your original self. And I call these update calls, I say, September 2020. So when I sit down and look at September 2020 in my meditations, I'm always told, that's just such a little moment in time. But why is it important in the fabric of all that is? First, we need to know that life it's all about source creating more of itself. And this is such a wonderful graphic that shows source energy. This is the way that I see it. So I always look for pictures that, really explain it so that you can see it visually too. And maybe when you see source, you will see it differently. And that's all wonderful, because source really has this desire to know itself through all of creation and to realize its infinite potential. Now, when you think about that, that means that the original source energy is infinitely spilling into creation, and that it's trying to really realize its own infinite nature through all of us. That means all beings in all dimensions, in all universes, in that cosmic body of creation are having experiences and choosing experiences only to fulfill the desire that Source has to realize its own eternal infinity. And that's what's happening. So we are now here in September 2020. And to think about our, very basic human lives where you probably work, have kids, have family, you do your cooking, whatever it is, it seems so small compared to the infinite possibilities. And so what we are doing now this year is we are awakening to the grander vision, because something happened in our past where we forgot, and not only did we forget, there was a lot happened to us. Our history is very, very ancient, more than we can imagine. So something happened where we started to believe that the reality that we live in is somehow given, and that this is it, and this is the human life, and then when you die, your soul goes out of body and you go to some place and your guides meet you there and you go back. But that is not actually the truth, even though that has been our reality. The truth is, this cosmic adventure is absolutely and incredibly unlimited. And it really would be a shame to spend this potential the way that we have been spending our lives the last maybe 12,000 years. So it is the cosmic creation game that we are playing And I feel that you will understand that maybe we have not been playing this game so well, which is not really fully our fault, and nobody is here to blame anyone. But there were a lot of forces that influenced humanity and life on planet Earth. And now in 2020, this all is changing. So much has happened in the last few months that I really can't imagine that that amount of transformation could happen in 1 year, let alone in the last 12,000 years. This is the biggest breakthrough we've ever had. I'm just going to quickly sum up what happened in this cosmic creation game as we are stepping up. And, you know, some people say we're stepping into the 5D, and that's one way to understand it. What's really happening is that we are being liberated from within, but also as planetary species. And this liberation is internal. We are liberating ourselves from the layers of enslavement that was inside of us, but also the entire planet is changing her electromagnetic frequency. She's changing nature of her reality. And so we are always part of her. And this year, a lot of darkness has left not only the planet, but also our own bodies. As you can imagine, humanity was mainly enslaved through sexual energy, and it is hard to fully comprehend what that means. It really, the way that we understand sexual energy is, I don't want to say it's not right, but we were really misled. And this is a really long history, but sexual energy is actually a life force that was originally not used for sex at all. It was life force that was meant to sustain us. We didn't have to earn money. This is the original blueprint of our existence on planet Earth. We were completely sustained by life force. And that life force that was coming to us from our beautiful Mother Earth. But this life force was also life force that was coming to us from what we would call Father Heaven. So we were beings in perfect alignment with life force. And when that was taken away from us and also we disconnected from it, that really changed everything about our life. And so what we today call sexual energy originally used to be life force that was to completely provide for us, and we were just co-creators with source and co-creators with earth. So that all is changing this year, and I've seen the shifts. You know, I see things visually through my third eye. I spend a lot of time in meditation every day just to be able to see, because if you see it, obviously you get more excited. I get more excited because it is something that the yogis obviously taught us, you know, to sit in a cave for hours and hours, days and days, and years, but things have changed. So now maybe if I sit in meditation for an hour, my nervous system allows me to open my third eye, and it really depends on where you at. So we live north of San Francisco, and so the energy is really busy here in a way, you know, energetically. So to open the third eye takes much more effort than when you sit on some sacred mountain. And we often go to Mount Shasta, which is north, it's Northern California. And Mount Shasta for me is the portal where your third eye opens instantaneously. You just sit down to meditate, close your eyes, and bam, you can see stuff. And that's really wonderful, because seeing is so much more than believing, right? Like if you can see it, you can talk to your masters and you get information from them, then it's a whole new way of living and understanding things. So this year, what's being repaired in our energetics is the fall from grace. And I know that there is a lot of, you know, biblical stories about the fall from grace. And I think, again, we have been misled so much, and there's so much misunderstanding. And I only share what I'm told by Divine Mother in all her different forms. So I'm going to share it how I'm told. And, you know, that might not be at all your reality or somebody else's reality, but I was shown how humanity was absolutely wonderful collective that lived in complete peace, harmony, love, adoration for all of life on this beautiful Mother Earth when she was aligned with, let's say, the galaxy, the Milky Way, when she was fully aligned with heavens. Let's call it heavens. She was part of heaven. She was part of perfect harmony, perfect peace. And we all were these beautiful rainbow children of light, of her light. And like I said, she was sustaining us with all that we needed. And that's almost unimaginable for us to, now we have houses, we need cars, we need money, we need to pay stuff. That's not at all how reality worked before the fall from grace. So we were fully open energetically. We were fully centered in what you can call Christ consciousness. We were fully beings of love and light, which was the rainbow light flowing through us from our I am, from our highest source self, and from our Mother Earth. Now, fall from grace was a very tragic event. It had nothing to do with Adam and Eve eating an apple. It had everything to do with us being so wonderful, so loving, so connected, and so innocent. And so, as I said, we live in this cosmic game, and it's all by design. Beings can do whatever they want to do, really, because they all are supposed to have as many experiences as possible so that source can truly realize its infinite potential. So that means whatever game you want to play, that's the game you're going to play in your fabric of reality. So in this fabric of reality, there are also beings that are not, love centered. Just like you see it here on planet Earth, we have beings who are really capable of what we would call evil. And so as we were part of this big galactic collective, then also there were beings who wanted to take advantage of the Earth and take advantage of us as innocent beings. So the way that I'm shown is that they blocked our energy flow. So as we were sustained before by Mother Earth and her life force flowing into us, and we were sustained by, again, Father God, or cosmic energy, source energy. It's all actually source. And we were blocked at what I see were at two major energy points. The base of the spine was blocked, and I can call it an implant because that's the way I perceive it. And then our crown was blocked. And so imagine if you disconnect the flow at the 2 points of entry, then you get beings who suddenly become energetic, zombies, beggars. Suddenly they need to eat, they need to earn, they need to pay, they are enslaved by something else. And so once that got disconnected, we fell from grace. And what that means is grace used to be source energy, and suddenly we didn't have that source energy. Maybe we had, 0.5%, but we used to have 100% of it. So that changed completely life on our beautiful planet. We became, disconnected from our own hearts, obviously. And as we got disconnected from our own hearts, we got disconnected from Divine Mother. And that's because her love and her life force suddenly could not get to us. And because our hearts were blocked and our energy flow was blocked and we were being manipulated, and it's a long history. I think what really matters is that we are actually coming back now. And so I find the understanding that is given to me of the past not to be as important as to know what is happening right now and what the vision is that Divine Mother has for us now and next, because then we know our path. So our path is a path away from enslavement, back into freedom, back into love. And how beautiful is that? Divine Mother has many different forms that she can, I really hope I'm recording. I am recording. Somebody just asked. Yes, I'm recording it. I always post it on my website, the greentara.guru. I put the recordings in the past events, and I also put it on my YouTube. So, Divine Mother is now back. And that is something that started to happen from the year 2017 and is now happening so much that you see incredible changes in the electromagnetic field of our Earth. She is completely available to us now, like never before. And when I said that we were enslaved before, I want to also say that whatever energies enslaved us before, those energies absolutely are allergic to the divine feminine rainbow light of the mother. And so when you start working with those energies, everything that was blocking you will actually have to leave and release you into your own freedom. For me, I believe that there is nothing more important right now than spending time with Divine Mother. And you can do it in many different ways. I still find that meditation is absolutely the key. I love spending time in nature, sitting down, meditating in nature, but I find that going deep into complete transcendence of the self and activating the flow of life force in your body is definitely the highest expression of our consciousness and our truth. So I still find that we need to meditate and meditate a lot and deeply to be able to have, direct visual and tangible and physical contact with the divinity that actually is within us. But it really still takes effort. So I do believe there will be a time when there will be no meditation required and no effort required, and it will be just the most natural thing for us to feel completely connected and see our own energy flow and just maintain it through love. So Divine Mother returned. You can, work with whatever form you like. For me, she appears in different forms. And when she appears as the Green Tara, she speaks of herself as Mother Nature. She speaks of herself also as a celestial being. And so either she comes to me and she's with me here, or I just see her floating in her rainbow body in the sky with other Taras and with the Buddha energy. And they are all so active right now in a way that they are sending us energy. And so, you just receive this incredible grace again, and it's light that's coming to us. And it's so many beings. And for me specifically, I see the Taras and I see the Buddha energy that is being radiated to us from Source. And so it's assisting us in this incredible shift that we are going through. It is truly the return of Mother Nature and our own nature. I often speak about the rainbow serpent. The rainbow serpent is definitely for some people a myth, but if you dig a little deeper, you will find that not only the Aboriginals, the oldest humans that we know of on this planet, right? They believe that nature was created and they were created by the rainbow serpent. Then we have in Mexico, they have a different name, but they also call it the rainbow serpent. And I think it's called Quetzalcoatl, also the rainbow serpent who created their civilization. We have the rainbow serpent here in the United States. For many Native people was the original creator. We have the Hopi Nation. And Divine Mother, she just told me a few days ago, which was really interesting, to find the Zuni people. Now, I had never heard of Zuni people. So when she tells me information, I Google these days, which makes it really easy. So I Googled the Zuni people, and I found, and I don't know if you guys know Zuni people, but I found that the Zuni people are people or a native tribe older than the Hopis, which makes them the most ancient native people on this continent, North American continent. And they worshipped the rainbow serpent because they felt protected and she was their savior. Now, that's really interesting. So if you want to explore what's happening right now, it is not a myth. And I know there are other people in this world, obviously, who are still through their tribes in communication and contact with the rainbow serpent. But the change that we're going through can be seen as the awakening of the Kundalini life force inside of our planet. And that is the life force you see around the green Tara as well. And that's really what's happening. So you can see now the electromagnetic changes in Australia. It is the rainbow serpent, and it's not a snake. Serpent is not a snake. So it's not a biological snake. It's an energy being that came from source that has consciousness. So like you, I have a very deep connection with Mother Earth. And we can think of her, as Lady Gaia, as a beautiful feminine being, but also she can be seen as the rainbow serpent. So she's a sentient being. She's the original primordial creator being that came from source. So that's what's happening. It's a huge alignment of Mother Earth. So now to get back to what's happening now and what she's asking us to do. This is so interesting. So she asked me to share this and to invite all of us to work as much as possible with placing the sacred geometrical shape of the flower of life, the symbol of flower of life, around the entire earth. So I do it in my meditations. You can do it just when you wake up first thing in the morning. You just imagine the flower of life being placed around our beautiful planet. And she told me that this will actually, because our power of our visualization is the true power of our creative nature. When we visualize, we actually create, right, as we visualize. And so visualizing the flower of life now in September 2020 and until at least the end of this year, when we will experience a huge shift again in December, on the 21st of December. The flower of life is basically the DNA of life. So when you look at the picture of our DNA, we are always shown the two-stranded DNA, and that's the picture of DNA that we know. But that is not the original blueprint of life. The original blueprint of life is the flower of life. And we might think, oh, it's a very nice symbol, but actually it's just a picture. If a scientist was looking at the truth of the DNA as it was created originally from source, as biological form of life, obviously as a code of life, then they would be looking not at two-stranded DNA, they would be looking at the flower of life. And this is a visual that she would like us to have, is as we visualize the flower of life as many times as possible throughout the day. It really just takes a split second. And if you want to be intentional, sit with it. And then cleansing the grid, cleansing the ley lines, allowing basically her own rainbow light to shine around her the way that it shines around the green Tara when she is in heavens. And so this is the most powerful service that we can be part of right now for our beautiful Mother Earth, all of nature. When you do this, that's all you need to do. And I always say chant your Om as well, because that's the sound of creation, that sound of Divine Mother. And so it's very simple, just being of service, showing your intention, having an intention that you are much more than the person, you know, who was sitting in the office 9 to 5 and spending time behind the computer. Now is the time to become these amazing co-creators with Mother Earth and to assist her in this huge alignment. This is an alignment like never before. She's just going back to where she used to be, but it's been, you know, millennia, eons and eons ago. So we don't even know what that looked like when there was peace, harmony, abundance on planet Earth beyond what really we can imagine. So she's just going back to her own place in the galaxy. And I don't think we have a memory of that. So that's the one thing she's asking us to assist her in repairing the grid around the Earth. And you can think of yourself, you know, with the flower of life, you see where you have those points, concentrated points of light. Think of yourself as one of those grid workers who is holding the grid. And it is up to you for the grid to be intact, complete, and clean. So I think of it this way. If I am a grid worker, which we are the beings of light in the grid, we can be very, very responsible and intentional about how we hold the grid. And I know that some of us can hold the grid in a way that they expand their own light body across the entire planet. So you could be the one holding the grid so wide and far, you could be as big as the Earth herself. And it's only through our own work, through our own light body. And light body is something we can't fake. It really comes to us as a result of how we live. So this is the way that I see the light body running through a person who is fully aligned with the Earth and the cosmos and of course themselves. And this really is just the result. I don't believe that somebody can give us a light body activation. I feel that it's really dedicated personal spiritual growth. And as a result of that, you really undo yourself, you undo the human self, you undo all the blockages. It's your story, your path, you know, your work. Yogananda said that, 25% needs to be our own effort. And so that doesn't seem like a lot. And then the rest will be given to us to match our own efforts. So I think, dedicated 25% effort until we can be fully activated. The activation of the light body really, I will just go back to this, is the activation of our fullness. So in Tibetan Buddhism, the goal of our existence is to activate our rainbow body. This is the rainbow body. What it really means is that you will just let go of all the limitations, all the blockages, all the stories, all the dirt, right? All the darkness, and just that doesn't happen by denying that darkness, but it just happens by truly becoming love. Pure, intentional love, by being completely centered in this neutral and yet very expressive love. It's the way I can describe it. When I am in that state, it's very interesting how it is the state of complete neutrality. It's not a state where you say, I want to be light, because you just stand in the middle, just like the yin and yang symbol, and you just are love, and that's all you are. That's all you are. You just are it. And so here, this is such a great visual that I found, is how the energy flows. And when the energy flows through us, and in Sanskrit they call it Kundalini, and in ancient Egypt it was the most sacred practice, and they had a different name, Uraeus. And you can look at, ancient Egypt, where they have symbols of the serpent, and they had a serpent coming from their forehead. And that was all just telling us the most important thing ever for all of us was really living with full alignment of this life force. And if you wish, you can call it Kundalini, but it has nothing to do with Kundalini yoga. So I don't want you to, feel like I'm saying, oh, you should go and do some Kundalini yoga with Yogi Bhajan. No, this is an energy flow. It is the serpent energy. And again, it's not a snake. So serpent and snake in this case is not the same. It's just that it moves in waves, and it is just how it moves. So, we have all the ancient traditions of the dragons. So that's all it is. It's this serpent energy moving. And because it moves, it doesn't move like a snake. It moves like a dragon. And so that brings so much understanding to what ancient cultures and all our native cultures and Aboriginal cultures, they all are telling us the same thing, that the most important thing we can do is to align our own energy field to become this perfect, I call it an apple. Because when you look at the flow of energy, it looks like an apple. It goes in at the base of your spine, and it comes out like the top of the apple, at your crown, and it goes around you, and it has a name. It's called toroid. So this energy, toroidal energy, is what is the apple. And I know I mentioned that before. That is the true meaning, I believe I was told by Divine Mother, of the apple in the Garden of Eden, is that the serpent was there to remind us of our truth that was taken away from us and we forgot. So we are not these naked beings needing something in the Garden of Eden. We actually used to be these amazing, fully aligned beings of divine light and love. And so this is just a reminder, and the visual, let it sink into your energy field. And when you meditate, visualize the energy flow and ask your guides to show you the way to fully activate yourself and to show you what's standing in your way. Because what stands in our way, I always say, the first thing in this lifetime, let alone all the other lifetimes, is our emotional blueprint. Our emotions, all the way to our childhood, that's where the first blockages happened, to this flow. So working with this innocent of the inner child, your own child, and if you can find a picture of yourself when you were like super little and laughing and smiling, and you were full of this life force before, your parents and who knows what blocked you. And of course, you see exactly how it works. Everything in our life and our dream reality here was designed to disconnect us from our own fullness. And this is our fullness. Now, when you are aware of yourself as a being of light, where you are fully in your love, you know who you are in service, you've activated your light body, and you do, this service work on planetary level consciously, then I've shown you this picture before, is how you can hold space with your light for millions of people. And mainly, you hold that space for the earth. We are, tiny little beings on this big body of consciousness on planet Earth. And so when you go into your light, you go into your fullness, you are of service, you are selfless, you really care for the mother more than just protecting nature, because that's how it starts, right? We can be so, like my journey, I studied politics and sustainable development in Australia. And for me, sustainable development was like, I cried so much when I realized how much damage we are doing to our beautiful planet Earth. And that was, the first step is we need to really be conscious and loving and kind and compassionate with Mother Nature, including all her creatures, including all the animals. And I know I often mention being vegan or vegetarian. It is really important. You actually cannot be in your full light body if you eat animals or dairy. And that is because the light body can only flow fully and openly if we are in full love and compassion with all life. And that's why you have Buddhists who will never even kill an ant, right? And that it just explains that true compassion, no one used to eat animals on this planet. Also, there was a time when everything was balanced, where animals didn't eat each other. Life was sustained completely through life force. And we don't really, like I said, we don't have a memory of this consciously. So we can't even imagine that life could exist without eating. But we have a lot of Indian yogis and saints who just stopped eating. And I'm not saying that we should do that right now, but there will be a time when we'll be again sustained by life force. And so your light body, the only way for it to be full and fully in the flow is when we have so much compassion for other creatures and life forms on this planet that we stop abusing them. And this is something that she has explained to me in detail. And I used to love eating fish, and I lived in Cyprus in the Mediterranean, and that the diet is, you know, you get fresh fish. And she explained it to me one day. She said that all creatures on this planet hold a frequency, and that frequency is needed in the grid of the earth. And when we damage, in a way, you know, these creatures and kill them and poison their world and make them extinct, then we are missing really valuable frequencies here that were really designed to be here. And she told me that fish, for example, they hold the frequency of joy, which is really needed on planet Earth, especially because humans really lost most of their frequency of joy. And so that day I stopped eating fish. And it was very easy because when they explain it to you, they don't tell you don't do it. They say, what do you think about this? If I show it to you like this, will you make a decision based on this information? And so that's also how you know that you are dealing with these divine beings. They never tell you not to do something, you know, by saying, don't do it. They don't say that. They always show you the impact that your choices have. And so then you can make a different choice. So the second thing that she would like us to do in September 2020 until the end of the year, December 21st. December 21st is a huge alignment. As you know, so many of our ancient cultures, including, you know, Egyptians, and we have so many structures around this world that are aligned with winter solstice. So winter solstice will be a very special day. It is the special day when, let's say, the Zuni people that she told me about, they celebrate Divine Mother. They worship Divine Mother so much. They worship her as the earth, and they worship the sun, and they worship Divine Mother. So December 21st will be a date of a huge shift and alignment. She's preparing us for that. And so for that, we have the meditation with the flower of life, where we surround the earth with the flower of life. But also she gave us another suggestion, let's say, since we are not told what to do, but to become a rainbow vortex of the goddess energy. And you can call it goddess energy, you can call it divine mother energy, you can call it divine feminine energy, but even if you men, to become this vortex where you are at. So wherever you live, and ideally in nature, of course, you know, and I know some of you don't have backyards, so, you know, don't have access to nature, which will change in our future new earth. But being in nature, let's say you have a spot where you go every morning and you meditate to anchor the energy of the rainbow vortex consciously. So when you do something in vision and consciously, of course, it's more powerful. So visualize yourself as the rainbow vortex of energy. And now what really matters is your personal alignment, of course. It's looking at yourself, looking at your belief system, and just finding freedom within yourself. Your personal alignment is what will help her align easier. So we are speaking about the personal alignment because we are about to experience a planetary alignment. So the more aligned you are, the easier it will be for her. So as much as you love Divine Mother, Mother Earth, creation, source, all layers of it, then align yourself so that this alignment can be as peaceful and as beautiful as possible. It's so interesting when she tells me that the axis of our world will align. And again, it was something I had to Google because she used the word axis mundi. And then axis mundi is the tree of life within the earth. And that's how she used to be aligned, where all worlds within her were aligned with source in fullness. That's when she had the rainbow light fully aligned, just like the green Tara has around her. Now, you see the symbol for the alignment is the cross in a circle. And that's how her equator and the longitude will be aligned once again. And that's really the big picture of what's going to happen, is in all of creation, you have so many different worlds where so many different games are going on, so many different realities. And our reality was out of tune with love and with light. And so we're just coming back to being in tune. This happens because that is her destiny. And that also happens because of all the light work you have done. It also happens because of all the beings who have helped us. And it also happens because we have been calling for assistance because we knew something was out of alignment. So this is a very, very old story. The thing is, and I find it interesting, that our ancient people, like the Hopis in Northern America and the Zunis, I learned, they were all told by her to search for the middle of the world. And so the middle of the world is really where the alignment happens. And that is what we are going to find now. We will again find the perfect balance of the planet. So I asked her, what do you really need from us now? What do you want from us now? How can we assist more than just being the light and holding the rainbow light? And when she told me about the Zuni people, I found that, they worship the rainbow serpent. They found that the rainbow serpent helped them and saved them every time the world ended. And they have the same story as the Hopi people and the same story as the Aboriginals, that our world, unfortunately, through misuse of energy, ended several times. And the last time it ended, it was the deluge. So it was the flood that ended that world. And so this time we are here, actually, all of us, you and me, to prevent her pain. And so how can we do that? First, it's the personal alignment, doing the meditations with the flower of life, building the vortex of energy wherever you are, but also to perform ceremonies of love and to give her offerings. And I know this might sound silly, and it might sound like it's not going to make a difference. So I traveled through South America, and what was really interesting for me, and this was a really long time ago, was how much the native people love what they call Pachamama. They absolutely, Pachamama for them, which is the Mother Earth, is the most important, I'm going to say, thing, that they live for. They celebrate. They live aligned with Pachamama. They give her gifts. They speak to her. Every single day is about Pachamama. And we might think, wow, I don't have time for this, and this is not how we live. But that's actually the way to have a relationship with Divine Mother is, if you are a mother or if you are a parent, then you must know what it feels like when your children love you. That means you did something right. But also it's just a wonderful feeling to be in a relationship with your own offspring and know that you are in a bond of love. And that's how she wants us to think about it, that when we give her, let's say I put some fruit out, I put some crystals out, I sing some songs. And like I said, like singing songs, it's nice just to allow her to move through you. So whatever sound you want to make, she loves toning and she loves melodies, but melodies that just come to you through her. It's amazing when you attune yourself to her and you start toning, and suddenly you hear this melody that wanted to come through you, and that is the song she wants to sing for you, through you. And so even if you could do a little bit every day, go to your backyard, and if you don't have one, put it out on the window so it's nature, and just do a little gifting, and you will be surprised how much she will communicate with you. And so that's what she would like us to do, to again have a relationship with her children in a way that we acknowledge her. And we have so much to learn from the native people, right? Because they dance for Pachamama, they dance for the different sky beings, because they know that's our reality. We are not alone. And so finally, we just have 2 more slides. She always says to me, you know, and I don't want to say teach people how to love life, but that's what she says. But she is goddess life. She is the creator of life. Of course, we do have, you know, the divine masculine, but she is the creator. She is the spider grandmother that they call her, the native people and the Hopi people. So how do we love life? We can only love life by constantly moving away from the duality. And duality sounds like a bad thing, but it's just the fabric of creation. But if you can move beyond the right and wrong, if you can move actually even beyond the light and darkness, and you just go into the center of it all, as it is in the infinity symbol, as it is in the yin and yang symbol, then you will be able to love life for the truth of life, and not for the little human suffering life that we've experienced here. That is not the grand tapestry of life. And the last one, and I always mention, she tells me that our power to create reality is so huge, and that we have forgotten really how to use it, but also we didn't have so much life force in us to use it fully and properly. So we live a dream, she calls it a bad dream, without judgment, but we can dream beautiful dreams. And so she said, it is not that we are bad, but our dreams were bad. And so if you look at your life or human life, you will see that we keep affirming reality with our judgments and words, and we keep telling our kids this is how the world is, but that's not actually how it should be. We can go into our fullness when we activate our rainbow body. That's our fullness. And then from that, we can really manifest reality very powerfully. And I always say, don't manifest, you know, the financial abundance and the houses and the cars, because we are way beyond that right now. We are now manifesting the new realities that will have to come as an expression of our consciousness. And so when your consciousness is aligned, let's say, with peace for all, again, collective of rainbow beings on planet Earth, then those are such beautiful dreams. And then we can create more and more of that beauty and perfection. And with that, that's our call today. Again, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat. I'm going to stop recording here.